if we talk about lyrically of all time, about whatever coast, wherever around the world, that's simple. I'm gonna say Jay-Z. I'm gonna say DMX.
I love DMX.
I'm gonna say Jadakiss. I'm gonna say Lil Wayne. Last but not least, oh shit. Scarface.
Good. For me, when it comes to lyrics, you cannot. Okay, for me, M has to be in it. Eminem, Scarface, DMX, Rakim. When it comes to lyrics, you can't forget Rakim. You know what I mean? And Nas. When it comes to lyrics, because
You know what? Here's the thing with Nas. Nas is dope. Speaking of Nas, I remember I met Nas. I remember I was boarding a plane. He was boarding a plane one time, right? And then my homegirl, she was like, "Hey, Pop." And I'm like, "What's up?" She was all like, "Hey, Nas is on an airplane right now." I'm like, "Okay, for sure. What you telling me for?" She's like, "You need to go holler at him." Alright. I had my business cards. I gave him my business cards. He's sitting on the plane. I printed out 2 boarding passes, one for my homeboy, one for me. At the time, my homeboy had put me on, he's from New York, he put me on Nas's, CD called Life is Good.
yeah,
And we listened to it the night before. Night before, no more than 2 days before. Just the same shit with Shock G, right? And I gave it to him. I was like, "Look, man, I'm going off this Tupac movie, bro. You a legend. I know you've been hearing this for years. Check me out." You know what I'm saying? He's like, "All right, for sure." When I gave him the business card, it was a side-by-side picture of me and Pac. And he was all like, "Yo, which one is you?" I was like, "The one to the right." He's like, "No, I thought she's the one to the left." I'm like, "No, that's Pac." He's like, "Oh, shit." He's like, "Oh, that's what's up, bro." Then he started telling me a small story about him and Pac coming together before Pac passed away. All in the midst of it, we about to pull off from the airport, but they stopped it. We had a conversation, got on. And then he saw my boarding pass. I called my homeboy, and I was like, "Yo." He's like, "Yo." He was on vacation. He was like, "What's up, bro?" I was like, check your text messages." He was like, "What you mean, check my text messages?" I sent him a picture of the autograph, you know what I mean, that Nas gave to me. He's like, "Hey, yo, son, does that say 2 cash for Nas? That say Nas here too, son?" I'm like, yeah. He's like, "Hey, yo, son, that's dope. B, I love you, son. I'll just pull it off." I'm like, shit. He's like, "It's because you look like Pac, huh?" I was like, "Yeah." But no, Nas is cool. He's just Nas today. Nas, it ain't the same Nas to me. You know what I mean? Like, he's still relevant. His King Disease CDs, his little series, I think he dropped like 3 or 4 of them.
yeah.
Dope. Nas don't give me that same stage saying Nas flow like I'm waiting for a Nas CD.
But no, but we talk about prime. I'm talking about prime Nas, prime M.
Oh, you? No, for sure.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure. No, Nas is definitely one of them ones. You know what I mean? Like Nas. You know what's crazy too? Because just as a Tupac fan I am, my dad, my mom's husband, he put me on. For him, for me to be from the West Coast, he from the West Coast. He grew up in Watts. I grew up in South Central LA. He grew up in Watts. He's from the east side of LA. I'm from the west side of LA.
Yeah.
For me to love Pop is from the East Coast, even though we claim it's from the West, he's a big fan. Big fan.
Wow.
Big. I'm talking about, he was like, "Hey, yo, so I remember I was young, I had maybe like 10, 11, 12 years old. He's like, "I know you listen to this pop stuff, but you really need to listen to Biggie." And it's like, I've heard his music, I know you need to really listen to him. And then I remember we listened to Ready to Die, beginning all the way to end. Fell in love with Big. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, no, Big is nice, man. Big has a flow, though. If you listen to Big's. I mean, I'm one of the best Tupac fan out here, but you cannot deny Big's flow. Big was good, man. Big, yeah.
See, here's the thing we have with Big. For me, we got to see Pop grow up from beginning all the way to the end. We only got to see 1.5, not even a full 2 CD run of Big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even though we caught it as soon as he died, but it was on his way out. That's why I say 1.5. Even though it was a whole CD, we didn't get to see that broken Big. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
On our way, but we didn't get to see the different growths, the different evolutions, the different rhyme schemes Big could have put out there. Minus little pieces they got it in the ball. You know what I mean? That's why I tell people all the time. Big was a lyricist.
Yeah, Big was nice.
Pop was a storyteller.
Yeah. But speaking of Big, have you been following the whole Diddy trial?
Yeah.
So what do you think?
That's a nasty boy. That's a
For real.
Yep, but like his boy, bananas. I ain't gonna hold you. That's a freaky man right there. Nah, you know what? I'm gonna put it to you like this. I mean, I don't want to see any man in any color, you know what I'm saying, behind the walls. They not for us to be behind-minded. Few people with certain crimes, you know, but at the same time, it's not meant for none of us to be behind the walls, you know what I'm saying? But at the same time, the way I see their life, truth is always gonna get the light.
Yeah.
So, you know, and at the end of the day, I was just having a conversation with my friend the other day about it. We come from an era of back in the day, especially in the 90s, coming into the 2000s, you know what I'm saying? A lot of things were known, but they weren't publicly known. You know what I'm saying? Like, just like how people be like, oh, Michael Jackson this, or for example, how they talk about Smokey Robinson case this, or, you know what I'm saying? A lot of things back in the day, get brought up. They probably know, hell, like, who was it? I forget what R&B artist it was today. She's a singer, but she got pregnant at what, 13, 14? I forget who it was. I was just looking at it. You know what I mean? But she had a kid at an early age. You know what I mean? So it was a lot of weird stuff going on. It just wasn't brought up publicly. So it's just like a lot of the stuff is starting to hit the fan, but I also do believe in karma. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I feel like when people, for example, like Sean coming home, you know what I'm saying? And him saying a lot of things about Diddy. And I watch Mace, you know what I'm saying? Mace and his interviews, and he's on podcasts. He's with his own podcast with him. A lot of stuff hit the dark. You know what I mean? I don't condone it. You know what I'm saying? Like how people bash R. Kelly, for example. That's him as a person. I may not agree with the things he did. You get me? But his legacy as a musician, I have to respect the hell out of that. You get me? I'm still my R. Kelly.
Yeah.
So that's a freaky boy, you know. But I mean, I hope he comes home. They said they dropped a lot of charges. You know, I hope he comes home to his family. But I mean, whatever comes to him, you know what I mean? You got to take it 10. You got to take it. You got to take it 10 toes in the ground. You know.
I mean, yeah, he live a crazy life, man. He's I don't know.
That's a freaky ass man right there. I gotta use a different type of lubrication. You can't use baby oil no more.
No, he's a wild dude. He's a wild boy, man.
Yeah.
That's a wild boy right there, you know. But see, you know what's crazy? You know, people take it for granted, man. People take it for granted. Once you get on a certain, that's one thing I have to say about me, and it's crazy because I was thinking about this the other day. Like, I had a homeboy to work with at the airport with, right? And I had my beard on my face, and he was looking at me like, "Hey, a lot of people at the airport." And I was like, "Bro, I used to work over when I was 20, but I never told him about the Tupac thing. I was just telling him Kevonne stuff, but I never. I look like Tupac come talk to me, or like I just know people how I know people." But long story short, he was sorry, man. You know, a lot of people, when I started telling him who I was, what people knew me for, he's like, man, you real humble. Like, and I always been like that. You know what I mean? Regardless if I'm making the BT Awards or the TMZ, or like I know different people, but like, I'm always humble. Cause just like I'm on the Pepsi field, I always get knocked down. You know what I'm saying? So I always stay humble. So like a lot of people, with all this notoriety and this money and this power, you get on a certain level, and you feel like you're better than the next person, or you gotta treat a person a certain way. It's not a good feeling. You know what I'm saying? You gotta stay humble in life.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yes. Bro, listen, man, I don't want to keep you for too long, man. Thank you for being here with us, bro. We truly appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
I appreciate the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Yeah.